much stuff to carry.
You always got to get the first word in. Well, hello everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining me again. So we left off here with an Aurora. Get this buffer memory here. Yeah, the thing with the buffer memories, there's a lot of great stories in them, but it's very random what you get. So it's hard to get the whole story there. But yeah, welcome everyone. We're just gonna sleep the rest of the night here, and then how many hours? Like 10 hours maybe. Let's do 8 and then drink a little bit. So today's episode, we're going to be continuing to the far territories and getting the radio, and then maybe next episode after that we'll be getting the camera. We'll sleep 2 more hours here. Excuse me. Alright. Daytime. Now, I looted this place before we left off, so yeah. I'm just gonna go into here and let's drop a bunch of stuff we don't need. Try to not be over encumbered if we can help it. Yeah, I'm gonna keep all that. Let's got 2 of those, so we'll drop one. Drop these gloves and socks. I think I might drop the flour and the oil as well. We'll be coming back and picking it up. Yep, there we go. Don't need that. So last episode I was worried about the Timberwolves, and because I can't shoot I can't shoot to scare them off or kill them or anything. But I've got Marine Flare here, so I'm gonna need to pick up I think maybe like 5 to 7, and I would feel comfortable with that. But yeah, anyways, I think we're good. We are underweight. Good to head out. Oh, not a blizzard. Come on, man. Well, that means there'll be no wolves to deal with. So that's good. Really useful yet. I'm gonna have to go inside and warm up some coffee if we're gonna be walking in the blizzard. Okay. Oh, there we go, coffee. Let's go make some coffee. It's so quiet in here. Despite the open roof here, That's funny. Alright. Okay, well, while we're warming up in here and warming up these coffees, start talking about...
that didn't work.
Oh, no. So I was just recently on the Survivor's Corner podcast with Kirk Steven and Jetwire, and that was a lot of fun. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thanks for subscribing, checking out my content. So as I talked about in the episode, of the podcast, the main focus of my content is the roleplay series right now. And let's see, coffee, there we go. And it was a lot of fun on the podcast talking about the content there, talking about my episodes and kind of like letting the audience kind of know how much work and effort goes into making those, and just kind of like giving you guys a peek behind the curtain of what it takes to make one of these episodes, you know. So I typically do like I said, an alpha run of just like a rough draft run, basically, where I play through and I see what happens during the playthrough and see if I like what happened, or you know, if I want to change anything that might happen. It's just kind of like a test run, and sometimes the test run footage makes it in because it was really good, but oftentimes it doesn't, and I have to re-record the scenes. You know, sometimes in the interest of time, I want to like cut down time in the scene, so I will oh, I'm out of water, aren't I? Okay, need water. So yeah, in the interest of time, you know, I'll re-record the scenes and I'll try to get through it quicker, or I'll cut out certain things, you know. So, like for instance, when I woke up here in episode 4, you know, I woke up and then I look around, then I run to the phone, and then I had to like sit here and record and wait, you know. I actually had my stopwatch out on my phone because I had recorded like the script, the lines, and how long it would take. It was like about 20-25 seconds or something like that. So I had to sit here and just kind of wait for that and then hang up the phone really quick, you know. But that took a couple of recordings to get right, the timing and everything. A lot of things get changed in editing as well. Sometimes I could speed up or slow down things in editing. But every piece of, like every minute of the episodes turns into, you know, about an hour or so. I'm kind of interested now to time, like how long it actually does take me to make an episode. So I'll probably do that with this one right now. I'm just starting. It's a little late, you know. I'm trying for 2 episodes a month, and we're getting close to halfway through July. I'm only just starting on my first, so I'm gonna have to really knuckle down and, you know, get some work in. But I'm just getting started right now. I've got a rough draft, like storyboard for the episode right now, and I'm gonna have to start, you know, recording some footage for it and getting a script done. But last episode we left off with a really big cliffhanger, and this next episode I have planned is going to be quite different from the other episodes I've done. I'm excited for that. It's going to be raising the bar, you know. I try to always raise the bar in some way on my content. 29 minutes till boil. Let's see. Oh, time really flew, didn't it? Okay. But yeah, I'm excited for this new episode. It's going to be quite different. What the heck? We'll use a bowl. And I have a new character plan, and I'm writing the script for right now. And I have an idea in mind of who I would like to voice the character. So I will reach out to them and see if they're willing. If not, I could contact Kirk again, because he does have a voice changer, he said. And he said he had a lot of fun with the last one. So, I could reach out to Kirk again. But yeah, I'm excited. And like I talked about in the podcast, one of the things I wanted to do with this series was not just... It's kind of like my tribute to the Long Dark and the Long Dark community, if that makes sense. Like, I wanted to include not just the lore of the game and story into my story, but I wanted to include the community as well. So before Kirk even reached out to me, I had plans to kind of mention in a little subtle shout out to the Survivor's Corner podcast. I was going to say that my character and his dad used to always listen to this radio show all the time, But having Kirk in it just made it even better, And if I could get more little guest appearances of, content creators, Long Dark content creators on here, that would be amazing. I would love that. So, just like I said, I want to incorporate the lore of the story and the community as well, and just kind of make this a big kind of collaborative project. I think that would be really fun. But there we go, we got our water done. And let's see if it's still a blizzard outside. It should be. But you never know. Wow, okay. Yeah, it's not. That... I can't see the wolf there. That's weird. So sometimes you go indoors, then I don't know, the weather changes or something. We got lucky there.
Nobody needs this anymore.
I'll take it, I guess. Where are they? Oh, I thought that was a wolf for a second. This wood right here. Okay. Alright. Feels better to have this side to be on this side of the fence. Let me drink one of my coffees real quick. I am hungry and thirsty.
Die if I don't drink something soon.
We got it. There we go. Okay, so yeah, I want to thank Kirk and Jitwire again for having me on. Like I said, I've been really blessed with the kindness and like how great the community is, you know. Like, it's kind of wild to think about. Like, I only really started my channel 3 months ago, making content, and like I'm already here. I'm already, you know, getting onto the podcast, and you know, it's funny the timing of everything. Is that while I was working on my first episode, before I had ever uploaded anything, I was on YouTube and I'd been subscribed to Jetwire for a while, but somehow I didn't notice that she'd done a podcast with
I
Kirk.
can always use more food.
So I was on late at night and I'm working on my first episode, and I happened to see a post she made about a screenshot competition for the podcast, and that today was the last day to put in your submissions. And I was like, what? Screenshot competition? All right, let's go. So I love to use the camera in this game, so, but it was like 10 o'clock at night, and I was like, oh, I gotta rush. I gotta get something in here, you know. I didn't know about this. So I ran through really quickly. I got a bunch of little shots, and then I just had enough time to put it all into an email, and I sent it at 11:59 p.m. and just barely made it, you know. And I was lucky enough to actually win one of the categories there in the little competition. But that's what introduced me to the podcast and Kirk and everybody. And it's been great. I really love the idea of this podcast and how it's bringing, you know, the Long Dark community together. And to go from that to, you know, just 3 months later being a guest on the podcast is absolutely wild to me. So thank you very much for having me on, everybody. For, you know, for letting me talk about my content and, you know, for your interest in it and everything. It feels really good to, you know, all the time it takes to make these episodes, to see that people are enjoying it, really makes me happy. So it's very nice. We're gonna need more of those marine flares, aren't we? I think we have 2 now. Yeah, 2 now. Oh, and I also have to give a big thank you to Zach Nafane, because after the podcast episode the other day, total surprise to me, like he actually shared my camera video, and yeah, again, I can't. My channel's 3 months old. Like, I can't believe it. To get a share from Zach already. Let's see. Do we have a flashlight? We do. So that has been. Oh, cat, are you okay? Hold on. Yeah. The cat likes to. We have a keyboard, and the cat likes to sit on the keyboard. He just fell off of it. He's okay though.
I better take this food.
Clumsy. Oh, his claws stuck. Hold on. You okay? Which claw? This stuff?
I would do anything for a drink right now.
Okay, sorry about that. His claws had gotten stuck into the little holes for the speaker. The little plastic holes there. You should have seen him. He was like almost like underneath the keyboard. He was just barely hanging on and pulled himself up, but his claws had just gotten stuck. Okay, so I think I was was thanking Zachnafane for publishing reposting my video there to his community so everybody can see. Thank you very much for that. I'm just so... I'm really surprised that it happened, and like I've got so much attention now to that video. Like it's got almost 1,000 views and a lot of likes and everything. A lot of great comments. Everybody's been so nice. Thank you very much. And yeah, like I said, you know, it's a lot of hard work making these videos. And it's just great to, you know, see that everybody's enjoying them. This guy, he like watches this door. Every time I come out, coming from this this direction here, he sees me right away. All right. Yeah, that's right. Get out of here. Right, let's just jump down. There we go. Run. Okay, I've got some distance now. Good. Alright, we're making good time. So once we get through here, we'll be not quite the transfer class yet, but closer.
I could eat anything right now.
You do need to eat and drink. Guess I ought to drink something really quick. So yeah, in the next episode of Tales, I'm trying to raise the bar, and I've got this really complicated scene that I want to do. I'm just thinking about the editing portion of it, in the filming portion, like how can I most efficiently get the scene done the way I want, like the way I imagine it in my head. And there's going to be some blood. Somebody's going to get hurt. And I'm thinking the only instances in the game where you have like blood on the ground is if you kill an animal there, right? Or if you get attacked by an animal. So, but the tricky thing with that is there's going to be footprints and everything in the snow, right? So how can I kill something and have some blood on the ground, you know, or get attacked or something, but then not have the footprints? Maybe it's something I could do in the editing, you know? I'm just kind of thinking out loud right now. it should be really interesting. Like I said, the episode is going to be, quite a bit different than the other episodes so far. And it just gets a little more complicated each time, I try to like throw new things into the mix, right? Trying new techniques and stuff, or trying to make the story more complicated, But yeah. Oh, so let's see. Cut that out. Yeah, so when I was on the podcast talking about creative content, I made a playlist of like the night before the podcast, I was looking around YouTube and trying to find creative content of The Long Dark, like little music videos or funny skits and stuff like that, little memes. And I put together a little playlist, but then yesterday, after I'd already been on the podcast, I found this really funny one of Ryan Gosling, as the survivor in The Long Dark. And he took footage from, a couple of his movies, one of them being Drive. And he's in the car and he's driving around Great Bear Island. I thought it was really funny. Then a bear attacks and crashes his car and stuff. It was pretty funny. So sad I didn't find that till after the podcast. I would have mentioned it. But it's in the playlist now. And I'll go ahead and keep that playlist up on my channel if I find any like really cool, creative, different kind of content for The Long Dark, right? Because it's great, a lot of people make playthroughs and guides and stuff like that. But it really is nice to see new type of content, for The Long Dark. Like really creative, funny stuff or whatever. And like Jitwire said, it really does bring in new people to the game. Because you don't need to know anything about the game, If you don't know about the game, you're not going to be searching for videos of guides on it, or anything like that. But if somebody sees like a funny little video or a song or something, they're going to be like, hey, what game is that? That's actually nice, so... Yeah. It does help bring new people in, and it's just fun for the people who have, already been playing this game for many years, Because again, like guides, you can always learn something new. I've been learning some new things from, Long Dark Forever was on the podcast a couple episodes ago, and he actually taught me that you can put you can make the teas and put them in your thermos and then put the thermos near the fire. And it won't burn or cook the teas, but it will keep the thermos hot until the fire's out. So that's a good little trick to prolong the time of your teas. I would always wait till like the last embers of the fire and then quickly try to warm everything up, so it would stay hot for longer. But I didn't know you could just put it in the thermos and set it there by the fire. So that's just an example, but Jitwire's taught me some new things recently that I didn't know. But anyways, I'm rambling here. What I'm trying to say is, people that have been playing the game for years, typically wouldn't click on a video of like a guide of, how to play the game, best ways to make fire, or like how to get to the top of Timberwolf Mountain or something like that. That's really great for new players and all that. But I don't know. I'm not trying to downplay any content. I hope it doesn't sound like that. But I'm just trying to say, having new creative content for the game is good for the long-time players. Something new to watch and something interesting and fun, as well as for new people new to the game, bringing them in. I'll stop talking now before I put my foot in my mouth anymore. I don't mean to be bad mouthing anything. I hope it didn't sound like that. But here we are. Oh, and I have to eat. All this talking, I almost lost my well-fed bonus. Okay. Good. Just enjoying the silence and taking in the atmosphere of this nice foggy day. Cracks of the ice setting in. And no wolves. Isn't that amazing? Cat, stop eating plastic. Okay. Oh, goodness. I swear these cats have half a brain sometimes. Here we are. One of the best bases in the game. I love this place. Primarily because of the windows. It's just great to be able to be nice and warm, cozy in a base with a fire. And you can look out the window and see what the weather's doing. I really wish more places in the game had that.
This will come in handy.
Let's put these clothes in here. But, you know, that's something to look forward to. And oh my goodness, we have not been wearing this the whole time. I forgot to put it on. We dropped the other one in the locker back in Broken Railroad because I saw that this one was better conditioned, but I forgot to put it on. Alright, well, here we go. On the way to Forsaken Airfield. You know, something about my roleplay series is my character, you know, he's a resident of this island. He's lived here all his life, right? So he would call things by their proper names. So we are going to Field 31 right now. And we're leaving behind Vale Station. So we wouldn't be calling it Forsaken Airfield. No. And, you know, certain places in the game like Desolation Point and Bleak Inlet, those wouldn't be the real names for those places on this island. I'm not sure what they would be because I don't think there's any clues in the lore as to what their real names would be. But thankfully a lot of the names are like fairly normal, so Timberwolf Mountain and Milton and everything. Mystery Lake. You know, my character can talk about those, but some things I'd have to kind of like change, you know. Like we're going to Field 31, or if I were going to Desolation Point or talking about it, I would say like Lighthouse Point, I guess. I don't know. But I try to keep my series as lore accurate as possible. It kind of can't be done because the island has been, abandoned and everything after the collapse, for the most part, right? Except for like a few stragglers. But in my series, obviously, like Field 31 is still operational. People are still living on the island and everything. So I have to do a lot with editing, special effects and stuff to like make the island appear not as bad as it is. So I used the earthquake in episode 2 to kind of explain like why the road is broken up like this right here. But until the earthquake, I had to kind of like look the other way and not show that on camera. So like I zoomed over this one part to not show like the broken road. There's like a little tree ridge, right? We'll get to it in a minute. And but then after the earthquake happened, that's when that road breaks. So the road behind him breaks and he can't go back. And yeah, so there's little things I have to do with editing and whatnot to kind of make it fit in, but otherwise I try to, really fit my story into the lore of the game. And, I've talked about, so far in the series, I mentioned Mathis really quickly. I mentioned, Lily Barker was in one of my dreams, right? That story, and like I mentioned that she was my character's babysitter, for a little while after my mom died. But then Lily Barker died too, so I was without a babysitter as well. And who else have I incorporated into the story so far? I'm not sure. I can't think of it right now, but there's more to come. I have plans on an episode where I mention Grey Mother, talk about that, and some other things I'm sure will occur to me, and I'll put them into the series. It's all been very fun because this has been very fun to do because I've always wanted to tell stories, and I never knew like what outlet that would take. For a while when I was younger, I used to think I would be an author, and I would try to write stories, write little books or something. But I never really went anywhere with that. We need some food. And then for a while I was really big into movies, and I was thinking that I would make movies or something, be a director or something like that, script writer. And when I was a kid, I actually, I was like 13, 14 years old or something. And me and my friends, I'd convince them to let's make a movie together, we got a little, video recorder here. We can make a movie. So that was actually for a couple of weeks a little project that all of us worked on until we, eventually got bored of it and gave up. But we were going to make a Titanic movie because, it was the 90s and there was a big Titanic craze, right? And we took a bunch of cardboard boxes and taped them together and painted it and everything. We made a pretty good model of the Titanic, out of cardboard boxes and paper towel tubes, for the smokestacks. Took a lot of, tape and paint and everything, and I had seen, this was also around the time that the Star Wars prequels or something came out, and I saw some behind the scenes thing or something. I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly, but I remember seeing something and they were talking about for the pod racing, I think, scenes where it's really fast, right? but there were like bleachers of people like in the stands or something watching them go by, but they're like way in the background and it's going really fast, so it's just a real blur on the screen, right? But what they had done was like got Q-tips or something and painted them and stuck them all into like a thing. And I don't know, is that true? You think they would just use CGI? Maybe I'm misremembering something and I'm just thinking I came up with the Q-tip idea myself, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the case is, but anyways, we did the same thing. We got a bunch of Q-tips and painted them and put them on the boat, you know. And my friend had a pool, and we were planning on having, you know, we were going to record the boat in the pool, but obviously it's made of cardboard, so like we would really have to just do one take, right? And so when we had finished building the model, we actually cut it in half in like a really jagged way to make it look real, and then kind of flimsily put it together so that it would look put together, but then it would also break apart when we wanted it to. And we were going to have somebody underneath the water with like a snorkel and goggles, and they would be like steering the boat around while somebody else records it. And then we had like these little smoke bombs, like from 4th of July, that we were going to put in the smokestacks to make them look like, you know, okay, we got smoke coming in the smokestacks, right? We really went all out. We, you know, building this model and making the plans and everything, but for some reason or other, we never actually did it. You know, we had the model built and everything. I don't know what happened to that model, but we never actually put it in the pool and did anything with it. That's kind of sad. That would be cool to see now, but, you know, kids, like, we just got bored and we gave it up. I don't know. Don't know why. I'm trying to save this canned food for, you know, heating it up when we need it for a warmth bonus. Or save the peaches to make some peach pie or something. But that's why I'm eating these little cattails. So yeah, you know, I've always wanted to tell stories, whether, you know, writing a story or making a movie or something. And like any gamer, I had the idea that I would make games one day. Maybe I'd go and make some games and tell stories that way. But doing this series right now kind of like blends all that together, right? Like it's my appreciation of games and, you know, making a movie, a TV show type thing, and telling a story, writing a story, right? The only bad part about it is that, you know, it necessitates me having to voice act. You know, I want to be behind the camera, not in front of the camera. So, you know, it takes me a little out of my comfort zone to do that kind of stuff. Because I'm an introvert, and I'd rather, you know, just stay quiet behind the camera and make something, right? But, you know, unless it's going to be a silent movie, you know, like I have to voice act it. Which actually, you know, that might not be a bad idea. Some piece of content or something, like, look at this. There is, yeah, here it is. In the options here, there are filters. And so there is a black and white filter right here, noir. And I could film some sort of piece of content where it's like black and white, and then like a silent movie, you know, it just pops up a black screen, but like, oh, what a dreary day, right? And then it'll get back to that. That would be kind of funny. But also, while I'm showing these filters, let me show you, if you didn't know about this already, it's in the display. Go down to image filter. Try out heritage sometime. It makes it look like, let's see, it says, heritage mode is inspired by classic National Film Board content from the 1970s and 80s. So Canada has like this, I guess, public access thing, you know, think like PBS or something. And, you know, back in the day, they used to make these old nature videos and stuff like that. It reminds me when I was a kid, I used to watch this show called Wild America. But you know, like back then, the film quality was kind of low, and you know, CRTV and all that, so it just kind of had this like blurry look to it, and this kind of just, I don't know, off look to it. I don't know. It's very interesting though, and it's. I would like to do something with this. I don't know if I could do a whole playthrough like this though, because it is. You know, we're just gonna have to eat the tomato soup. But it is, it's very blurry, and it's hard to see like wolves in the distance or something, or like make out like, is that a wolf or a deer? I don't know. It's a little hard to tell here in the fog, but you know, try it out sometime if you didn't know about that. It's pretty interesting. But we're gonna get back to regular. And yeah, we're nearly there. Well, I guess not nearly there. Forsaken Airfield is a little, what is it, deceiving at times. Because there's not a lot of locations, you know, points of interest. And so you think, oh, well, I'm at Junker's Paddock here, and I'm about to go to Control Tower. That's just a little walk away. It's actually a little bit longer of a walk than you think, yeah. You think I'm just going to go from point A to point B, but it takes a little longer than you think. Just because it's so large and open out here. But it's a good area. I like it. It is a little busted though, this area. It's like, it's a little OP. Because if you were to start in this area, there are like 3 bows you can get a hold of, like right away. You don't need to craft a bow. There's just bows lying around everywhere here. You got the sport bow in like either one of the cabins or something, or by the downed plane site or the downed helicopter. So you've got the, you know, the sport bow, and then you usually have in the cabin, as well as in Grip's Cave, which is where I started, you know, episode 1 of my series. But you got the bow there next to the body, and usually some arrows too. So that's quite a good start if you ever start here. This is a good area, but you know, the downside is the openness. How far it takes to get anywhere, and if you get caught out in a blizzard or something and real cold and windy and stuff like that, there's not a lot of shelter, so there's the trade-off, I guess. See, that soup didn't even help all that much, my goodness. I should have stopped at Junker's Paddock and tried to find something to eat. But I got a one-track mind. I'm trying to get to the Control Tower.
Use this.
I need food. You know that in episode 2, I had the face-off with the wolves there at that truck, and it really increased my appreciation for the sound design in this game, because I had shot an arrow and missed. Like, I prematurely shot the arrow, and it hit the snow on the hood of the truck, and the arrow, like, the back end of the arrow fell down and hit the metal of the trunk. And so the sound on that was like a soft thud when it hit the snow. But then when the back end of the arrow, you know, fell down and hit the truck, there was a metallic clink, you know. And I was like, wow, that is really good sound design. Like, the detail on that, you know. Really nice. And I've noticed it too in, other people playing the game or something, where like they'll shoot the pistol. Who was it? It was a Survivor Mike. He was in what was it? He was in Bleak Inlet in the cannery, I think. And he shot his pistol inside the cannery, and it hit the metal of the wall. And there was actually like the sound you would expect, shooting some metal. I just think that's great. There's a lot of detail in the sound design, and they did a fantastic job with it.
I need to find food.
And like the obvious is like the footprints when you're walking on snow versus when you're walking on wood or concrete here. The road, right? Yeah. Great job, Angel. Oh, Jesus Christ. Jesus, Murphy. I want to work that into my vocabulary. Jesus, Murphy. I don't know if Canadians say that, really, but if they don't, they should. They should bring that back. It's always good to, throw a little touch of humor into something. Jesus, Murphy. That's funny. I did find a short on YouTube of some hockey coach teaching some kid, and like kid almost fell on the ice, and he says, "Jesus, Murphy." It cracks me up. I don't know. Silly little thing. But here we are. Alright, so I'm gonna end the episode here, but wait, let me look for some food. That'll be the next episode. We really need some food, and then we'll head off to get the camera. But let me wrap up here and say just thank you again to Kirk and Jert. I'm sorry. Kirk and Jitwire from the Survivors podcast, Survivor Corner podcast. And thanks for having me on. Thanks for, bringing the community together with your podcast. It's been a pleasure to listen and, now participate in. And thank you to Zach Nafane for reposting my content. I really appreciate it, and it's wild. The video's almost at 1,000 views right now, and like I said, my channel's only 3 months old. I wasn't really expecting, I was expecting that it's going to take some time to get noticed and whatever. So I was just going to keep putting out videos until eventually it gets out there, but it got out there kind of sooner than I anticipated, so thank you to everybody for that. And here's the radio. Mission accomplished. Yeah, so thank you to everybody for that. And we're gonna end the episode here. How should we save the game here? Maybe I'll go into the hangar. But I want to talk about this real quick. This is what started it all right here. I was playing a new run here, and I got to this tower, and I saw this note. And I said, who's we? We are leaving. We're walking out of here. I can't stand the lights. No sleep. Just no sleep. I was like, okay, so were they stuck in this tower? They couldn't sleep because of the glimmer fog? Who's we? And, I started putting things together and coming up with a story for that. But that's what started it all right there, that little note. So I'm going to go into the hangar and we'll start the next episode there. And we'll loot, find some food, and then we're going to move on to the Sundered Pass region. We'll go through the caves that are somewhere over there. And we'll go through the caves, get to Sundered Pass, get the camera next episode. So, excited for that. Alright, well, thank you everybody for joining me. I'm going to head on in here, and I will see you next time. Bye!